Hello, everybody. As you can see, I'm working hard on this comic book page still. Only working on this page right now when I'm doing a video because I've got a commission going on. Well, kind of a commission, kind of not. But I can't let you guys see what it is. So we're supposed to be working on this page while I do these videos for you guys. So that's a nice thing about having pages like this that don't have uh, I don't need to worry about a deadline with you guys. So I can just work on it when I'm talking to you guys. And that way you guys get a steady progression of seeing how the page is coming along. So, but today is week 11 of signed comics for 365 comics signed for year 2025. And we started off with Flash Annual number 6, signed by Mark Waid. The reason why I picked this one specifically is because it was part of DC's Bloodlines. Way it was is that in 1993, this is right when Image was becoming so popular, um, DC needed to compete against, uh, they needed to compete against Image with their snazzy characters. And so their means of and this is when they were like, they did the death of Superman, and they introduced four different versions of Superman to come back, and they were all snazzy. As I guess the best way to put it, they had a bit of an image feel to them. And during this time to compete, because remember, Rob Liefeld was doing so many different books with so many different IPs and characters. Um, So so DC was like, we gotta have a whole shitload of new characters, and so they did this through their annuals. It was an annual event. They started, and what it was is that the first issue of I can't remember what the actual first issue was, which annual it was, but they introduced these aliens that crash land to Earth, and they're like parasite creatures, and they feed off of the uh, cerebral fluid of humans. And what happens is some people have the metagene, and the siphoning of the spinal fluid activates the metagene, so they come back to life, and they all come back to life with superhuman powers. And so this was how they came out, and each of most all the characters uh, had like a an extreme look and feel to the characters. So, and you can tell, like I said, it was blatant that it was like, we need to have image style characters in the DC universe. And unfortunately, I liked a lot of the characters. Unfortunately, they didn't really do anything with any of the characters. I think it was like three of the characters got their own series. One was Hitman, uh, Gunfire was one of them, and I think Anima, she got a mini series out of it. But the characters I really liked was like the one from this annual. It was uh, Argus was the character they created. They had created quite a few. They had uh, Argus, Ballistic, Geist, Nightblade, and Joe Public. I like those characters a lot, and I wish they'd done more with these new these Bloodline characters. They did follow it up with a mini series with some of those characters and some of the ones they mentioned. It didn't take off, wasn't a huge seller. So as a result, they were sidelined, and many of the characters, they haven't done anything with them since then, which is a shame. Like I said, I liked them a lot. I mean, if I was to do a pitch for DC Comics and I wasn't allowed to use any of the main characters, these would be the characters that I'd dive into and be like, okay, these are the characters I want to use, and here's my pitch. And because like me, I think, and I know a lot of people are like, well, Superman, Batman, that's their bread and butter. I look at one of those deals where it's like we've seen it. I've gotten tired of those guys because they've done stories with them so much to the point where it's boring to me. It's like, oh, Superman's got to get another cat out of the tree. Oh, it looks like he's got a Brainiac, and Brainiac's now powered by kryptonite. Oh, okay. How's he going to defeat this guy? It just gets boring. So, for me, I like these characters. I know they didn't do anything with them. So, and of course, the thing was though is that they created all these characters and what the way they did it was they had like each annual had the same theme. It was like A plus B equals C, which is the alien parasite is going around different cities in DC universe, and they are uh, draining the blood out of the cerebral fluid out of heroes, and then the hero comes to life. And sometimes it's a different threat that they then have to address, and not the parasite creature. But in the end, it's always involved one of the DC characters. So if it was Joe Public, it was in the Batman annuals where that one was created. So Batman would be in it, and with this character Argus, he was in the Flash. So the Flash would be in it. So it was, like I said, I enjoyed the annuals. Many people don't, but I did, and I liked it a lot. So that's the reason why, like, when they had the opportunity for to have Mark Wade sign DC books for me. That's the reason why I picked this one for him to sign because I really did like that whole concept. So the thing is, though, is they did drop the ball though because at the end of the annuals, when they were done with all the annuals, they then had a two-issue event where all of the heroes have to now fight, I guess, the mother queen version of the parasite creatures. And they had to fight the queen parasite, and they were powerless against it. But the only thing that was immune to these parasite creatures, to this queen, was the new bloods. The new bloods. I think that's what they refer to as the new bloods. And so the new blood characters, they're the ones that came in and defeated the uh, the this parasite queen, if you will. And again, where they dropped the ball was they had some of the new blood characters, but not all of the new blood characters. Which was really, I was like expecting more of the new blood characters, and they just, I would say they used less than half of the characters created in the annuals. So that was like kind of a bummer for me, where it's like, hey, come on, give us all the cool new characters. What about this character and this character? So I mean, you could tell. I mean, you could tell that like DC really didn't care about these new characters, and they were just a pitch to like create a whole bunch of characters and see which ones stick. See what the fan response is, if there's any fan response, and use them. And like I said, there was obviously some fan response because some of the characters did go on to have their own books. So, but the thing is, like I said, the characters they picked were the ones I didn't care for. So, but, okay, this nib's going down. Okay, we're actually going to switch gears because I don't like working on tech when I'm talking to you guys because I really got focus. Yeah, a really nice, fine, thin line. So we're going to switch gears. We're going to switch nibs. I'm going to work on that breastplate. After the breastplate, I'll probably move on to some of the bricks. So, but okay, let's go here. Get the nib in. There we go. Got some ink on the nib. So, okay. So then after this issue, We move on to day 69, and we have the Flash with Speed Buggy. This was a series of one shots that they did where DC characters interacted and in many cases teamed up with uh, the Hanna-Barbera characters. This one, I got Mark Irwin to sign it. He was one of the inkers over Brett Booth. And so, again, Brett Booth was a Wildstorm artist, went on to have a very successful career with DC, and is currently doing a Gunslinger Spawn for uh, Todd McFarlane. So he's having a very good career. And I picked this one because it was a one off. Love the artwork. And it was a kind of cool story. Um, the speed buggy, I think it was like the speed buggy was like a live person that got trapped in the body of the speed buggy. But it was able to tap into the speed force. So that's why they had him in association with the Flash. Like I said, it was a cool story. It was just a one-off story. Artwork was amazing, and that's one other thing I really liked about it was because of the artwork being so good um, that you really didn't have to worry about like a lot of plot. It was just a bunch of glitz and glam. Uh, but had the opportunity for Mark to sign it. Loved this issue, so had him sign it. So, and then after that, we go into day 70, Forever Evil Director's Cut number one. It's called Director's Cut because this was all the pencil work of David Finch. It was the full issue of Forever Evil, and this is where the crime syndicate is invading Earth, and they knock off all the power, and it was basically how like pretty much the superheroes are the ones who'll be uh, powerless to fight them, and it requires the supervillains of the DC universe to team up and to fight uh, the crime syndicate. The leader of the villains was, of course, Lex Luthor. This was also in New 52. So they're really, uh, and remember, they put themselves behind the eight ball of New 52 by relaunching everybody, but then they acted like everybody's been around for the last like year and a half, 2 years. So it's one of those where like, hey, we've relaunched all the characters, but we're just going to dive straight in, which was a bad idea. So didn't turn out that well. I didn't think it was that good at all. But this was a good. I bought this. Like I said, all was David Finch's pencil. So an opportunity to see David Finch's pencils, I got to go with it. So had him sign it. Now this was a funny one. Was when I posted this one on Twitter. I don't know why. No one liked it. I didn't get any. Somehow maybe got buried in the algorithm or whatever. But nobody saw it to like it. So, but I really do like this issue just because, like I said, you get to see all the pencil work of Dave Finch's work. So, I mean, it's not. And back then, this was the only way to really see his artwork. It's not like today where you have YouTube and the internet to look at the pencils of his work. So, I like how that's turning out. So, I don't need to go too far because the idea is to use whatever inking I'm going to do over here for the metal edge of the bricks. It looks like this is like the metal of a room, and the bricks are like behind. I don't know if that's good. There's like a glass behind this or what. So this is all the metal. So once I have the metal put in, I'll then be able to determine whether I need to put an edge on that or not. So, but so, but That's how it's going there. And then, so like I said, I like this one a lot. And like I said, I was kind of surprised that nobody clicked to like it. I guess, like I said, I guess for whatever reason it wasn't shown as one of my posts. So, oh well. But then moving on from there was day 71, and it was formerly known as the Justice League. And this was Kevin McGuire. They were using all of the Justice League International characters, such as like Blue Beetle and Booster Gold, Ice and Fire. I think Captain Atom was also used in it, and it was just a 6 issue series, and it had to use the original team. It was chock full of humor, and again, I like this one a lot. And the reason why I picked this specific cover, because this was the most humorous of all the covers that I have signed from this run. So I like this. I was like you got fire in the cover, and you got all the villains. Goes, it's a girl, and then she's on fire. Or it's a girl, and she's naked. They're like, but she's on fire. But who cares? It's a girl. And you look carefully, it's all of the unused villains in the background. They're looking up at fire. So another reason why I wanted, because I do like when uh, they get creative and they don't use the same old villains. They use other unknown villains. So, like I said, I just get bored when they use the exact same villain time after time. It's kind of like when people talk about uh, how like Spider-Man was trapped and they backed him into a corner when they had him get married to Mary Jane. And I remember having a conversation with a friend who I said about how like my frustration with that, how like they can't do anything with her. And he joked and he goes, he goes, that's because some of these writers just can't figure out how to do, uh, they can't figure out how to do uh, married couples well. And I said, well, that's only the writer's job to do better. You don't write Mary Jane out of the story just because you can't figure out how to make it work. Your job as the writer is to make it work. I mean, just because you can't hold a relationship doesn't mean you take it out on the character. That's one of the biggest things where it's like where so many Spider fans uh, hate Joe Quesada. It was his choice that one more day bullshit where he has to choose between Mary Jane and his aunt. And I looked at that and here it turned out that here Joe Quesada was going through a divorce. Now, just because you're butthurt because your marriage failed, doesn't mean you got to take it out on these characters and make their marriage all of a sudden fall apart and fail. Here's the thing. For me, the reason why I like Spider-Man and Mary Jane together as a couple so much was because part of it was that's when I discovered Spider-Man. Two, I discovered Spider-Man when my parents were going through a divorce. I mean, I'm sorry, but it's like when I was escaping my parents' divorce through comics, and here they're establishing a solid relationship that's growing, and they get married, and that's part, especially now, where so many people get divorced, and you got this is escapism. So what's part of escapism now? Having married couples. If you're gonna have a married couple, it's fiction. Okay? If you can't maintain a relationship, then create a relationship that works through comics. So, I mean, hell, there's some artists, they've been like single almost their entire lives and they're just now finally getting married. So, well, let's move on. So, after Foreman Knows Justice League, it was day 72 with Storm issue 17 with Firehawk. This was her first appearance. No, I didn't care for the costume that Pat Broderick gave her. I thought that the redesigned character that George Perez did for Firehawk in Crisis of Infinite Earths was much better, and I'm glad they stuck to it. And Firehawk's uh, costume really hasn't changed all that much since since George Perez created the character. George was very good at creating characters, creating costumes for characters, and so I thought that this was a great costume. And like I said, last time I saw them utilizing her was Identity Crisis, the one that Rags Morales did. That's the last time I saw her utilized, and she was in the same costume that George Perez designed. So, and then from there we move on to the Marvel Comics, and day 73 was Factor X. This was the X Factor uh, version of the team in the Age of Apocalypse. I did like that concept of being able to see different versions, or like kind of like the Bizarro version of each one of these characters. There many of them were like complete opposite of what they were in the Marvel universe. So, and of course, what was cool about it also was some of the characters at the end of the Age of Apocalypse came over to the Marvel proper universe, such as the Beast from Factor X. He was able to come over to this version. In fact, I think he actually kidnapped the Beast and took the Beast's place on the team for a period of time. So, but yeah, so especially the redesigning of Cyclops only having one eye. Apparently, Wolverine had taken his other eye, and so, but just overall, I mean, first of all, you got Steve Epstein's artwork that with Al Milgrom doing the uh, with Al Milgrom inking it, which is when Al's the one who signed it. So, but this was actually one of my favorite. One of my of all of the Age of Apocalypse, I have to say this was probably one of my favorite uh, versions of the teams. So a lot of people go towards one of the X Men titles, especially I think it was the Astonishing X Men, because that's where they introduced Blink, and Joe Madureira was doing the artwork. But this one for me was much more along the lines of what I liked. So then, of course, we finish up this week with day 74, Fallen Angels, and I got it signed by Tom Palmer. Uh, Again, this was one of those deals where it's like at the time, Brett Blevins was doing the artwork for New Mutants. Wasn't a huge fan of Brett Blevins. I was just buying it because it's the X Men. It's an X character. It's an X book. But I really wasn't crazy about his artwork, and so this specific uh, book, I liked it because here Robert Sunspot he runs away, and Warlock goes with him. Now, personally, I was kind of like, why the hell's Warlock leaving with Sunspot? He's like joined at the hip with Cypher, and Warlock doesn't go anywhere with Cypher. They developed such a friendship with those two characters in the New Mutants. It didn't make any sense for Warlock to leave with Sunspot. So, but now Sunspot leaving, I thought that was a good idea. It really helped him grow as a character. The only thing shame about this series was, and this is nothing against Joe Staten, but it started off with Kerry Gammel's pencils, inked by Tom Palmer, and I mean, you can't get any better than that. And then when you halfway through the series, I guess because of meeting the deadlines, Joe Staten took over. Now, nothing against Joe Staten, but I mean, he's not Kerry Gamble, and the inks are not the inks in the book were not Tom Palmer's. You can't get any better than that. So I got it. Back then as a kid, it's got to be the completionist, and I do like uh, overall the story of Joe Duffy did. I just the beginning of it with the artwork just vast superior to the conclusion of it. So, but that's the week. That's the week of comics for this week. Week 11. Week 12 we'll be going into the G's. Now we're going to have more independent books in the G's for two reasons. A, didn't have like when I get into Marvel, it's like if I was to have like all the five Marvel books, it would be all Generation X, which it's like I only show book after book. I only show like 7 books or 5 books of just Generation X. So that's all I got in the G's. So I'm doing less for Marvel, and I'll do more of the independents. And I got some bangers, guys. I got some ones that you're really gonna like in the G's. So I'm going to give you more of the G's. Plus, also discovered that I don't have a single book in the H's from Marvel that's signed. So I'm going to give you more independent G's to take place of the missing no H's for Marvel. So I think you'll like the ones I'm picked out for handling the G's. So, okay, guys, this is about done. I'm going to go work on my other commission now. So, I might work a little bit on his face afterwards. What I'm probably going to do is I'm getting about done where I got to work on it off panel. So probably starting tomorrow. Probably going to go over and work on this fist, or we're going to work on this Professor Xavier guy. Maybe we'll work on the Professor Xavier guy starting tomorrow. So, guys, you have a great day. You know I'm having a great day. My voice isn't the best, but hey, sound a whole lot better than I did last week. So, guys, you have a great day. I'm having a great day. And remember, take life one dot at a time.